Well, yeah, certainly. I mean, it was our fault. We made a mistake. The spotter said it was clear. I wasn't clear, and, I didn't want to tear my car up, tear his car up either. I respect everybody, and I demand respect. And, I apologized to the guy when he came over the car, explained to him what happened. And then he took it to another level when he started calling me an idiot and whatever else. And I don't appreciate that. I'm not going to take it. I told him how I felt. I called him out. He didn't show. And so, I'm good with it if he's good with it, but I'm not going to be disrespected by no means.
Yeah, I guess I had a dinner date at Applebee's last night that I didn't find out until it was too late. It's a shame. Love their riblets and boneless wings, but...
All right, y'all. Welcome back to Meet Me at Applebee's, your number one unrefined motorsports podcast. It's Brian here yet again with Rob and Ashley. Vegas just happened, and big news came out today in the paint scheme world. So, folks, how we doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm still a little hungover from the wedding I played this weekend up in Loudon, about 1,000 feet above the beautiful New Hampshire Motor Speedway. By the way, congratulations to Jason and Casey Lynn. Lovely couple and a bunch of rowdy friends who all tried to kill each other on Jägermeister, myself included. We had a good time though. How about you, True Love? How was your weekend?
You really threw me off with that Jägermeister.
Yeah,
I'm good. It's daylight. We haven't recorded during the daylight in I don't know how long. So
yeah, it's about.
Would have been last week if the mic hadn't showed up late, but we're back at it. Yeah, well,
Studios sounds good. By the way, you might have noticed a massive jump in quality, and that's because we're in a professional studio here in the Applebee's now. They've walled it off, and we're behind glass, and there's a producer who won't talk. But we're ready for Flow Racing or whoever the fuck to come pick us up any day now. Junior's gonna call, and we'll get all those NASCAR pit passes. That's the whole reason we do it. So anyway.
Stacking appetizers.
Yeah, we'll be the new Corey LaJoy podcast pretty soon.
As mentioned, the Vegas weekend is past us now, and two pretty entertaining races. This year, True Love was not in attendance, so we were all watching from our houses. Well, Rob was at a wedding, so I don't know how much Rob got to see, but I'm pretty sure Ashley and I watched both races, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I didn't watch a second of the Xfinity race.
I got pretty sick Saturday afternoon, and I'm just starting to come out of it, so I was pretty much in a haze all weekend, but I did watch everything, and it was an interesting Xfinity race. Their round of 8 is also starting along with Cup, and we got A.J. Allmendinger getting kind of a surprise win, I would say. This is his first time he's won on an oval in quite some time, and he had to hold off Ryan Ellis, who everybody was kind of pulling for. Ryan Sieg. Oh, fuck. I knew I was going to screw those up. Ryan Sieg, who was battling pretty tough with him at the very end. And honestly, probably could have got him. There was a caution at the very end that, after re-racking him, maybe would have been it for AJ, but AJ still pulled the win out, and I think a lot of people are upset by that. But I mean, it's the fucking playoffs, and
was that the one where Sammy Smith pulled over and parked it on the back stretch like it was a fucking street stock?
Yeah.
And as soon as that caution flag came out, he magically starts moving again.
Yeah. Power cycle complete. You gotta call tech support, and they got him sorted quickly, I guess.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What the hell else happened in that race, though? That was noteworthy.
Chandler Smith offended some infants on his radio.
Oh, yeah, he was cussing up a storm.
He was saying bad words.
What bad words?
SVG's engine blew.
Yep, that also did happen.
Yeah.
Do you know what bad words he was saying, True Love? Did those make the broadcast?
Motherfucking.
Oh.
Yes, the big one.
We're in a restaurant. True Love. How dare you? Jesus. Yeah, he lets it rip once in a while, despite the family Christian store's outward persona.
Yes, I will never get over him being offended by the Super Bowl halftime show.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, his
newborn child was watching.
Yeah, 6-month-old. Jesus Christ. Ridiculous.
Oh, so that was the Xfinity race,
What else
huh?
happened? Oh, that fucking Josh Williams fuel guy dumping his entire load all over
Saw that.
back of the car.
Very cool.
Holy shit.
What did our friend Jeremy have to say about that when that came home? Or what did even in the during the race? What did he say about that?
I didn't ask him about that. I'll have to text him and see, but
Hopefully he's not getting the wet ones out to wipe that down, because that was a lot of gas right there,
yeah.
or ethanol or whatever the fuck it is.
Yeah, I think that's all the notes I have from that race.
Okay, yeah, I mean it was good. It definitely wasn't an awful race, but yeah, like I was just kind of in a haze and was like half paying attention.
The only other Xfinity news that I jotted down was that it was announced that Ty Gibbs will own the number 54 car next year.
That's right.
Yeah, that's right. And
Earned it by mowing lawns all summer.
Well, he earned it by holding Taylor Gray's pit sign in his shorts, I think, is how he...
I guess it is the NASCAR nepotism version of mowing lawns for spare change, but
yep, and yet the Dillons just get free rides. They don't get any free teams yet. So Pop's holding down on them.
yeah, that's how you raise them.
Times are tough over there.
That's how you raise them right.
But Sunday was quite the race, and I think all of us were frustrated at different points in the race. But where do we even begin with this one? So, I mean, first off, I'll just say right off the bat, I thought the race was great. I mean, there was so much shit happening the entire time. The finish was good. Granted, maybe some of our drivers didn't have the best days, but just a lot of stuff to talk about. I mean, I guess the first thing would be the wreck involving Truex, Chase Elliott, and Tyler Reddick. I've heard differing opinions as to what happened here. Some people were blaming Truex for washing up and, pushing Chase Elliott closer to the wall and, stopping Reddick's run. Denny Hamlin, Reddick's car owner, blamed Reddick for the wreck, and as do I as a Reddick fan. I mean, he definitely was going for a hole that wasn't really there and was probably too far into the exit of the corner to try to make that move. And he even kind of admitted himself, like he was going for a move he shouldn't have. He'd already won the first stage, so it's not like he had to he had a great car too. It's not like he needed another stage win out of this. But
Hey, you want to field this one, True Love?
I blame Alan Gustafson for putting Chase on the wrong tire strategy and putting us in that position to begin with. But also Reddick.
I do love the self-hatred that 19 fans have, particularly when it comes to Alan. Yeah, that's a perspective I haven't heard.
I don't know about that, because a lot of 9 fans would not blame Chase. I mean, because it wasn't Chase's fault at all. I mean, other than I guess
Alan's
being in
fault.
Honestly, I don't blame anybody for that. That was just kind of a racing deal.
It was kind of
Like the top lane was open.
It just happened so fast.
Reddick was hauling ass. Truex I'm not sure what he was trying to do, if he just got loose or if he was just trying to move Chase up a little bit to kind of throw him off his line, which is completely acceptable. And then Reddick just appeared, but I don't know. It's just bad timing across the board there. I don't really think there's really too much blame. Well, I mean, if you want to talk blame, let's talk about Daniel Hemrick. That was wrecking the dog shit out of Austin Dillon right there, getting himself even further on Richard Childress' shit list, which I thought was really funny. But that was a really bad wreck.
Yeah, well, he ain't got a ride next year anyways, so, I mean, he's probably not going to be earning one anytime soon. But we didn't even finish talking about the Reddick wreck, because he managed to roll his car once, and honestly, I think he probably would have been able to continue if he hadn't have broken the tie rod when Keselowski hit him. I couldn't tell if he'd broken other ones with that flip, but the car, after rolling, and he only rolled once, looked exactly the same. Looked like it had no damage to it whatsoever, which was pretty crazy.
Yeah, the roof flaps or the roof rails didn't seem to do their job versus the ever so slight banking on the quarter-mile track in the center.
I would. That's one of those things where it was very clearly the the grass and the inner quarter mile. He bounced off that, and I think because somebody else posted a clip of an older car doing that and not flipping, I think it's because the new tires have such a low profile that the rim might have dug into the asphalt, and that's what caused it to flip. I think maybe if it had old tires, that wouldn't have happened, but
I mean, it is slick under.
So.
Either way, this is definitely more of a fluke than the other ones we've seen.
Yeah, for sure.
But that was fucking wild. Did not expect to see a flip at Vegas, especially not on the front stretch. I can't.
Nope.
When was the last time that happened? Chris Buescher hit a drain at Texas, I think.
Coke 600.
Yeah, the Coke 600. That was the only other time. Which, by the way, you can go see that wrecked bucket of fuck at the Roush Museum. It's pretty cool.
So very wrecked.
It's so fucked up. I went in there a few weeks ago with my brother-in-law, and I was like, I didn't recognize it at first. I was like, there's no way that's the same car. And sure enough, yeah. Watch out for the drains and all the fucking, I don't know what else, like sprinklers they got out there. Brutal.
But speaking for other drivers in the race, we definitely were expecting a Kyle Larson, Christopher Bell show, but Larson, he had a shit day too. Flat tires, bad pit stops. Denny Hamlin had a bunch of bad pit stops and really had to work his way back, and I think he ended up with a top 10 out of it. And same with Larson, ended up getting 11th. He had to, at one point he was 2 laps down and had to battle back, and they managed to do it and not really have too bad of a points day. Ryan Blaney, he had a bad wreck in practice, and during the race, he was talking about he was another one who got involved in an incident. He got involved in the Reddick wreck, kind of, and he was complaining of headaches. So that's not a great sign.
It's the slow transformation into Casey Kane we're getting out of Ryan Blaney here.
Absolutely. When he wrecked in practice, immediately he came on the radio, and you could just hear it in his voice that he was hurt. And then they interviewed him afterwards, and it absolutely reminded me of that Casey Kane interview from like 2013, but he just seemed so out of it. So, and then when he got in that wreck on Sunday during the race, as soon as he hit, he said that his head hurt instantly and was asking the team for Advil. So I would not be surprised if he has a concussion, and will probably try to hide it until after the season.
Yep. I kind of think that's probably the case too, honestly, but we'll see if they catch him. That'd be a shitty way for him to exit the playoffs for sure.
Yeah. Well.
But we got one Penske car in. Woo!
Yeah.
Christ. Yeah, I don't know, man. Good for Joey.
Just the worst case scenario for the fans.
Yeah, good. I mean, I guess there are a lot of Joey Logano fans. There's a lot of 5-year-old kids out there and dorks, I guess, that, no offense to our buddy Sean Harden, who's a big Joey Logano fan. I'm very happy for you, bud. But I just, I don't know. Like, it's, I think that this is what you can expect out of Joey Logano, right? Like, this happens every so often. Because he's had a pretty lousy year. Despite having 3 wins, like I think he has like a total of 6 top 10s, and 3 of those are wins. And he just continues to get them at the right time. And
these fuel strategy races, someone needs to check his tank.
Yeah, it's a big tank. He's got the Smoky Eunuch, like 50-mile long fuel line in there. Yeah, they stretched it out and got it done. I mean, I really enjoyed the hell out of that race. I think after a few weeks of all the drama and it's like extracurricular bullshit and Bowman getting DQ'd and blah, 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 and all these things and the lawsuit talk and all this sort of negativity that sort of superseded the racing. It was nice to have a weekend where there was no bullshit at the end. It was just a few different strategies coming together. Christopher Bell put on a show trying to come up there and just fell short. I mean, I don't think you can hate on that, especially as an old school fan. It kind of reminded me of something you would have seen a few years back. And I really enjoyed that.
I think Logano had a little bit of extra luck on his side this time too, because his teammate, who was in 32nd place, just happened to be the right spot at the right time too.
Yeah, exactly. And Blaney, of course, him and his headache. Maybe he didn't even know where he was, and he was just kind of out there driving.
Further proof that he is concussed. Helping Logano get to the Final Four.
All right. So what did I miss? I'm back.
Boy.
Yeah, Brian had to go pick up another round of Modelo's for us.
Yeah.
Which is very kind of you. Oh, we're just talking about Joey Logano.
I was gonna say, do you explain what happened with Bell at the very end?
Yeah.
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 Just,
All the heartbreak.
Yeah.
All the sadness.
all the pleat in his khakis just immediately flattened out.
Yeah.
So.
I wanted to pull an Alex Bowman and throw my phone in the swimming pool. I don't have a pool, but I was going to find one.
Drive down to the Y and just toss that fucker right on it. Yeah. But yeah, like one thing I did say while you were away, Brian, was, and I think you agree with this, it was an old school race. It was awesome to see all
100%.
those strategies come together at the end and kind of see them meet, which you don't see all that often, especially in this era of guys taking it 4 wide and fucking around and jimmy jacking each other and all that nonsense, and getting 5 cautions and whatever. And yeah, it was nice to see that play out.
The race really had everything. I mean, it had a lot of drama with all the playoff guys. It had wrecks, and then it had the strategy at the end. So I mean, yeah, if you didn't like this race, I feel like you're not an actual NASCAR fan, because this really had it all.
I agree. Definitely not the
I
best
love the
shit we've
race.
seen, but definitely.
I hate the winner.
Yeah.
Of course, yeah. I mean,
Love the sin, hate the sinner, something like that.
so yeah, we go from there on to Homestead, which should be another good race, and we'll see what happens there.
Yeah, a lot of drivers in must-win scenarios now. It feels like
I mean,
Elliott and Blaney.
Elliott and Blaney for sure. Elliott's what, 54 down?
Yeah, Elliott, he's very last right now. Reddick, I think is 30.
30?
Denny is 27 out, which he doesn't have to win. I mean, he'll probably do good at Homestead, so. And he's good at Martinsville, so we'll see what happens there.
Kind of shitty lately.
Yeah, no, he's
Not great.
he was very
Terrible
stressed on his
day.
very stressed on his podcast. You could tell it was probably the shortest episode they've had all year, and he didn't have a whole lot to say. So he's going through it for sure. Not to mention, might as well get into this now. Speaking of Denny, there was some news that broke that NASCAR is not going to, as of right now, grant their charters for next year. Still remains to be seen if that injunction will go through. But as of right now, there's only going to be 32 registered charters. So that also leaves those 2 charters that both those teams are going to buy kind of in waiting. And that'll divvy up the prize money between the 32 charters that are actually valid. So
Yeah.
I guess good for those teams. But I mean, shit, man, that's not a good sign for the other 2. And we'll see what happens if somehow the courts give them that money back.
I can't imagine they would. As much as I'm on Denny and Front Row's side in this whole thing, NASCAR presented them a contract. They didn't sign it. We're moving forward. That's it. And I'm sure at some point in the future we'll get to a point to where there'll be some sort of rectification over that. But I mean, it's kind of the deal. They went into this knowing this could happen, so they're going to probably run as open teams next year. And to me, the interesting wrinkle is the other 2 charters that both of those teams were trying to buy, and what happens to those. Because right now there's 32 charters out of the 36, and if those 2 don't get sold, then where do they go?
Not to mention, what about the money that those teams would be getting? Stuart Haas, that's millions of dollars that is just gone. So
Exactly, yeah.
what happens?
So yeah, definitely the first little sign of ugliness in this whole, well, that's not true, but one of the first ripple effects anyway that's coming out of this and starting to hit other teams, which is...
And as a fan, it sucks because now, 2 of my favorite drivers, Bubba and Reddick, and I might not get to see them race at the Clash now at Bowman
Yeah,
Creek,
that's the other rumor that has kind of popped up, that if there's no financial incentive for those guys, I mean, granted, it's in their backyard. They're not traveling across the country like they were for LA, but if there's the financial incentive isn't there, why are they going to show up? So we'll see if that happens.
Big protest opportunity there, and this is where the IndyCar kind of stuff starts. Which I didn't expect to happen so early, but hey, we're here. It's going to be dramatic and fucking funny sometimes and very sad, and it's going to cost everybody a lot of money, so I guess strap in, folks.
All the drama.
Oh yeah.
NASCAR soaps.
In better news, so we definitely talked about this earlier in the year, that Dale Jr. was going to be applying for and reacquiring the trademark for his infamous number 8 that he drove during the DEI days. And the last day or 2, both Dale and Tony Erie Jr. and maybe somebody else like were posting some Budweiser 8 stuff, and that got everybody talking as to what was going to happen. And when this trademark was first announced, my first thought was he was just going to run that particular 8 on like maybe an Xfinity race. But it was announced today that they're going to be doing a full Budweiser throwback scheme on his late model that's going to run at Florence around Thanksgiving this year, and probably some other races next year, which obviously everybody loves. I mean,
How could
I don't
you hate
think
it?
anybody is. What's that?
How could you hate it?
Yeah, exactly. I don't think anybody could be upset about that. And
Sorry, I stepped away to grab my my brand new graphite Zen 10 that I earned with my
God.
points. feeling like $1 million over here, folks. No, continue.
No,
So,
I love days like this because when that news hit this morning, my phone starts blowing up with all my friends are so excited, so happy, so much overall positivity and joy, which is the complete opposite of Sunday when my phone was blowing up with everyone I know just so incredibly pissed off over Joey Logano. So Dale Jr. uniting the people.
Yeah. Did you guys have a candlelight vigil down at the pool room after Sunday was over?
Well, maybe in a couple weeks. We'll
See how it goes.
before we recorded, I was able to listen to the first part of the new episode of The Download, and Junior was talking about it, of course. And one of the things I really appreciate that he talked about was when this trademark stuff was coming back, he made the point that he didn't want it to be just about merch, which obviously it could have just been. He mentioned that he's always had this good relationship with Budweiser, even after he stopped driving for him. And, if you remember, they put out that commercial paying tribute to him when he was retiring, which they didn't have to do.
Still gets me.
I watched that before we started the show today, and it had me tearing up a little bit. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And thinking about that, I mean, Budweiser doesn't even have a presence in NASCAR at the moment. Obviously Anheuser-Busch has Busch on Ross Chastain's car, but Budweiser itself hasn't been on any cars in a minute. And for them, it's not much of an investment on a late model. I mean, I don't know what a late model sponsorship costs, but I mean, it can't be more than 50 to 100 grand tops. And they're going to get a ton of good PR out of this, and all the fans get the merch and get to see that car again. And
Dale's
cool.
going to finally get enough money to buy a charter and enter the Cup Series out of all these fucking T-shirts. Which that sublimated one, woo, girl, that thing is hot. Classic.
Shout out to Ryan Williams for killing it on all the merch.
Is that who did it?
Oh, of course. Yeah, it's all him.
I thought so. Yeah, it's fucking excellent.
But in other news that came out today that was obviously overshadowed heavily.
Yeah,
by the
a
Dale
few
Jr.
people
news.
need to fire their fucking PR reps right now.
Yeah.
Particularly Frankie Muniz.
Well, yeah. So Frankie Muniz, he was on Good Morning America announcing that he's going to be driving for. I don't know how to pronounce this. Is it Roun?
The Ream Brothers.
Ream Brothers Racing.
Yep.
He's going to be full-time in the trucks next year, which he's had a pretty rough season. Didn't really make too many races and didn't really have much success in Xfinity. So maybe another year in the trucks will help.
Can you imagine having your big announcement for the fucking truck series on over-the-air television? Literally every mom in the United States saw that shit, and it's still overshadowed by Dale Jr. tweeting out a picture of the 8 car. That's gotta suck.
Listen, Frankie was a celebrity, but he's still nobody's as big as Dale Jr. At least not in NASCAR. So.
No, sir.
Yeah, not in the racing world.
In addition to that, Martin Truex Jr. announced, or Joe Gibbs announced that Truex Jr. is going to be running a throwback scheme this weekend to his Bass Pro car that he won the title with, and what was it, 17 he won the title?
Yeah.
I can't remember.
Yeah.
So that's happening.
Kind of looks like all the other Bass Pro cars.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like everything else. Let's see, what else? SVG, I saw a picture of a spicy chicken car that looked good, a spicy chicken Wendy's car. There's a Cole Custer NXT car that he's going to be on WWE NXT tonight, hopefully running over someone with his car. I might have to tune in for that. I'm trying to think. Was there any other news that came out
Justin
today?
Haley in the Chili's.
There it is.
Yes, there we go. Justin
Returning
Haley.
the honor to our second favorite chain. We can't besmirch the one we're sitting in right now, but I do like
They'll
Chili's.
spit in our food.
I just wonder if he's going to get a chance to do his own good commercial, because that's like the only thing Corey LaJoie's ever done that I've enjoyed.
Yeah. Which, by the way, shout out to Justin Haley. He had a really good run at Vegas on Sunday. And Corey, actually, I got to hand it to Corey, too. Did okay in the Rick Ware car. So that seems like it might have been a good trade.
Yeah, considering before the race even started, he failed tech twice and lost a crew member. All that fun stuff. There was also a Nasty Beast from Reddick paint scheme
it's just
this weekend. It's like black and orange.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like every other fucking
little spooky.
month.
It is spooky season.
Yeah. And then the only other news note I have is Doug Rice signed off from PRN this weekend. It was his last race in the booth.
Yeah.
I think most people like MRN over PRN, but I barely noticed a difference, and Doug was pretty good at his job. So
yeah, he's been in there for a long time, pretty much since the beginning at PRN, I believe. So it's always sad to see one of the old dogs hang it up. And Doug definitely, you get to travel around and talk about racing all the time. That's about the coolest job you can ever have. So best wishes to him in his retirement, and hopefully they find somebody that can fill his shoes. I'm trying to think of who I wouldn't want it to be, but I don't know.
That's probably who it'll be.
Yeah.
With that, I guess now it's time to talk of the Czar for the week. And while I could bring up yet more tweets from my favorite lunatic, Jason in Texas.
He's gonna have his own segment by the time this shit's over with.
He really could. Like at this point, folks, I kind of think he's a bot, just because some of the shit that he's tweeting just doesn't make any sense. Like I'll talk about this real quick. So Myatt Snyder, this one I have to talk about. Myatt Snyder.
To be fair, I don't understand either of them in this exchange at all.
Well, I do. So the video, Myatt Snyder replied to right-wing dickhead, blockhead Charlie Kirk. He tweeted a video of all the fans at the Steelers game chanting USA. Now, they're chanting USA because Trump was in one of the suites. That's why they were doing that. And that's the context that if you didn't look at the other ones, you missed. So Charlie Kirk was like, this is what NBC doesn't want to show you, was these people chanting at Trump. So Myatt Snyder just responded with, a fine joke, not really leaning in either direction politically. Actually, NBC owns the USA Network, so I have no idea why they'd turn down all this free promotion. Fine, clever enough joke.
I didn't realize there was more to it than that, so that is funny. Yeah.
Yeah, but then Jason in Texas responded with this. Sad to see the next generation of Americans is this uneducated, gullible, or ill-informed. Whatever it is, you're patently false in your implication that NBC is a Republican, America First, anti-progressive network. NBC is owned by Comcast. Go look at who's on the board of Comcast. Go look at donations, blah, blah, blah. Again, Myatt said nothing at all with any of this stuff. Like, not even one little, he just made a silly joke that really didn't lean either way politically. So that was his
I will
response.
say that's probably the only factual thing this dude has ever said, at least in some ways. The thing that really got me was him saying that the liberal media was behind Alex Bowman not making the playoffs. That's a stretch, my friends. But this week's star for the week actually comes from YouTube. Of course, this past week was the I hate this week every year. There's the anniversary of Dan Weldon's passing at Las Vegas in that IndyCar race they never should have run. I was watching. I always go back and watch as much Dan Weldon stuff as I can around this time. I was a big fan of Dan, and there's a tribute that the ESPN broadcast at the time put out the week after his passing. I think they were at Talladega, and oh God, what is her name? Briscoe. What's her first name? Anybody remember?
No, but I know who you're talking about.
Natalie Briscoe. It's Ryan Briscoe's wife, who was an IndyCar driver at the time and was for many years after that. She was on the broadcast team, and she knew Dan really well. I think they even dated at one point, so they were super, super close. And she was just crying the entire time, trying to get to this tribute. It's super moving. They ask, the ESPN panel, which is Rusty Wallace and Dale Jarrett and these guys, how they handled weekends after losing a friend like that. And anyway, it's a tough video to watch, but it's a special one. And I was just kind of scrolling through the comments, just seeing what's in there, because that's what you do on the internet. This one actually comes from 3 years ago. This podcast didn't even exist when this guy was the Darf of the Week, but we're going to bring him to light this week. Hurricane Patrick chimes in with, "Why is NASCAR honoring someone from IndyCar? That's supposed to be their rival."
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, let that one stink the room out for a second.
Get the fucking potpourri out.
Yeah. Ugh. So that's, real dumb. Go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
And my sentence is for you and Jason to sit there and watch 15 hours of Rachel Maddow together. Because I'm sure you would enjoy the hell out of it. So
I didn't realize until this weekend that Las Vegas Motor Speedway has a nice tribute plaque to him over in the turn where he passed away.
Yeah, it's always kind of eerie that NASCAR runs there pretty much on the same weekend every year. Now, I think this is the second or third year in a row where they've done the playoff race right around or on the anniversary of Dan's passing. And, it's a little tough to watch that. Obviously, I got over it, but and was able to watch the race, no problem. But, that was a really dark moment for a lot of people, which, by the way, I actually haven't watched this yet, and I plan on watching it this week. I'm finally going to sign up for, I think it's an HBO Max subscription. There is an amazing Dan Wilden documentary that they put together that I've heard is absolutely incredible, and I will watch that and bring my notes to you.
I remember watching that trailer.
Yeah, the trailer's tough. It's about,
the trailer was tough.
It's a lot about Dan, but it's all, and I think we talked about it on the show too. It's a lot about Susie Weldon and Sebastian and his other son starting to go-kart race and sort of honoring their father and getting to know their father. In death through actually doing the same thing that he did coming up. So it looks incredible, and I've heard nothing but good things about it, and I plan on watching it this week, and I'll report back to how much I cried while watching it. So, yeah, fuck you, Jason. Stupid bitch. Dumbass.
Well, I guess from there, we'll dive right into the septic tank, as it is that time in the show.
Climb on in, folks. I didn't watch a goddamn second of short track racing this weekend, and it was a monster one. Actually, I take that back. I did kind of pass out during the modified race, the NASCAR modified race before Vegas came on, which was a snoozer. But we'll get to that in a second here. The big news here, Ricky Thornton Jr. That's right, RTJ, folks, winning the Lucas Oil title at Eldora. Against all odds. I don't think anybody saw that one coming. Jonathan Davenport honestly kind of had it wrapped up, but he blew an engine in the feature, which, that sucks. Nobody wants to see that happen, but Bobby Pierce got the win and $100,000 for his troubles. And, of course, RTJ gets the title. Like I said, against all odds. When he got booted from SSI earlier this year, I don't think anybody really saw him being able to persevere and get the title, but his points cushion was so big after that happened that it kind of carried him through the year. And he's done some good things in the Kohler car too, and they handled themselves well enough at Eldora to wrap the title up, which is great. Also, shout out to Tim McCready for winning a prelim night there. T-Mac being the most inconsistent guy on earth. Also, there's a lot of rumors that Josh Richards is going to be coming back, Kid Rocket, to drive the one, which I haven't seen anything official on that, but apparently that's a hot rumor that's kicking around right now, and that'd be cool to see Josh come back. He's been retired for, God, I don't know, several years now, and it'd be awesome to see him come back and drive a late model and see what he's got. Speaking of Jonathan Davenport, shortly after having his whole world fall apart at Eldora, he announced that he's going to be running the National 100 and the World Finals in Kevin Rumley's car. Of course, that's the number 6 late model that Kyle Larson will run from time to time. A lot of people reading really deeply into that. He says he's going to be back in the 49 next year full time, and as long as they'll have him. But him jumping to another ride immediately after, of course, is going to light the rumor mill completely on fire. And paper mill fires are pretty hot, so I guess we'll see how it works. But we'll all get to see Jonathan Davenport in the car that he won his first Dream in. I think it was the Dream he won. But he's run with Rumley before, back when they were full-time. So it'll be cool to see him in a different car and see what he does. But yeah, definitely something to keep an eye on going forward here, because I can't imagine anyone's happy with how that season ended up. Over in the sprint car world, Corey Day picked up a Trophy Cup win. That was pretty cool for him. No surprises there. In the World of Outlaws, Buddy Kofoid continued his title chase with a win at Route 66, just eating away at David Gravel's lead as we go towards the finals. Over in the pavement modified world, of course, big doubleheader over at North Wilkesboro this weekend, along with the Cars Tour. The Smart Tour was there. Luke Baldwin picked up the title over Carson Lofton, which I was sad about because I like Carson. But it is what it is. Luke's a dog, and he got the job done. In the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour race, though, Justin Bonsignor won both of these races, by the way. And there's nothing I love more than a Yankee coming down there and just showing all those dudes how to drive a fucking modified. Probably the only thing I'm proud of from New England is when that happens. And I really enjoyed the shit out of Justin Bonsignor going down there and just laying an ass whooping on both races, particularly the Whelen Modified show, where he is now taking over the points lead over Ron Silk. Silk having another just shitty day. And I think he got lapped twice or something like that. And, I mean, no one had anything for Bonsignor anyway. But Silk has lost the points lead going into the finale at Martinsville next week. And I really don't think anyone's going to catch him, to be honest. I think this will be his second or third win in a row since Patrick Emmerling got off his hot streak. So it's going to be interesting, that's for sure. I don't think Corey LaJoie's running next week, so we shouldn't have any spoilers in that race. Also, Justin Bonsignor tying Reggie Ruggiero for the second most wins in Modified Tour history with 44. He's got a long way to go to catch Mike Stefanik, who has like 300 of them or something like that. That's not that much, but it's so many of them. So, but Justin's young and he's got a lot more time, and there's only like 19 cars that show up to these races now, so I think he'll get there. Over on the Cars Tour, they also, again, were at North Wilkesboro. Butterbean Queen won the title. Connor Jones picked up the feature there. Caden Honeycutt won the Pro Late Model title over Spencer Davis and the race. So, I didn't watch any of the Cars race, but I like Butterbean a lot. I think a lot of people do. And it's always good to see one of the good guys pick up a win. And a couple more things here. Rico Abreu got branded. I don't know if you guys saw that.
Oh, holy shit. Yeah, this I really wanted to talk about. So it's funny because I saw him post somewhere about how it was for his family's farm, but I cannot find that post anywhere. The only video I can find
it's Rico's post.
Yeah, but like it's not on his Instagram anymore or something. I don't know if he took it down or what, but it's still on Kenny Wallace's page.
Maybe Instagram took it down.
Well, look, it's the Kenny Wallace one is still up. In this video, folks, so
Brutal.
To me, it seems like it's almost like one of those military hazing videos that you see where you see some dickhead like coming over with the branding iron. He's got this serious look on his face, and guys are yelling like, "Don't fuck it up!" And then Rico's just got this look on his face where he's just like trying to bear the pain. And he's like hulking up, and it's just such a bizarre video to see.
Yeah.
Well, Brian sends it over to group chat with zero warning.
Hey, look,
He's like, "Oh man, look at this."
That's how I saw it. So you guys didn't see it that way.
Uncle Kenny video. Okay, cool.
Just some straight violence happening.
Yeah.
No, I saw Rico's post first, so I was a little bit more informed than I guess you were, True Love. Yeah, it's the symbol of his family farm. And I think him and a few other guys on the team and his crew got it. So
would love to see how that's healing up, because it didn't look like he really held it long enough.
No, yeah. And I don't know if you've ever been branded before. I haven't, but I imagine that shit sucks. So hopefully he's all healed up and ready to go for the finals coming up.
Oof, ouch.
Jesus. And one more piece of news here. Pennsboro looks like it's ready to go.
Yeah, I was gonna save that for later in the show. But yeah, I'll be going. I still haven't seen an entry list, which I would like to see. Beforehand.
Bobby Pierce has announced that he's going. Devin Moran will be there. I believe Nick Hoffman's going to be there too. So there'll be a few of the big timers there. I know a lot of the sort of stars might not be showing up to Pennsboro, but you'll at least get to see Bobby Pierce and Devin Moran put a show on.
Yeah. I've been watching the weather and watching the guys get the track ready for the last few weeks, and everything looks great. 2 days ago, though, I was looking at the weather, and of course, the one day that there was rain on the list was on Saturday. But as of right now, the rain is gone again. So I guess we'll see what happens. Although it's supposed to drop from like 75 to like 50s on Saturday. So I'm real excited to be in the cold. But I do plan on going to that. So if you're gonna go, feel free to send us a message and have a beer with me there, because it'll be just me showing up.
Hell yeah. And if you can't make it, of course, that race is put on by the XR Super Series, so you can watch that on XR streaming It's another subscription. We'll see if I pay for it or not, but I would like to see that. So, and I think that's just about all we got for the short track septic tank here. I think the biggest thing I'm most excited about coming up this weekend, of course. Actually, no, this is Homestead this weekend. Never mind. I keep thinking it's Martinsville coming. I've been thinking Martinsville's the next race for like a month now, so never mind. I'm going to go ahead and flush it on down, folks. And real quick, we've said it a bunch of times, our World Finals plans are coming together. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm telling you. I'm telling you, man. At least I'll be there and wandering around and hanging out with several past guests of the show. And if you got plans to come, great. If you don't, better make them. Shit's going to be fucking killer. And we'll go ahead and flush it on down with that. You guys just let me do that as long as I wanted to.
I was waiting. I was trying to be polite.
Thank you.
Make sure it clears.
Yep. So, as mentioned on the show last week, we watched 2 videos about the Busch brothers, the Las Vegas natives, and the first one was the long one. It was the redemption of Kurt Busch. Now, none of us are really Kurt Busch fans, right? At least,
no.
Current Kurt Busch, yes.
Yeah. Well, again,
Now
we'll get to that as part of the video. But I was never a Kurt Busch fan. In the big part of his
back in the
career,
day.
especially back when he was, champion, all that stuff. Like, I was not a fan of his. And this video is really just a pretty good summation of his NASCAR career. It starts off right when he jumps in the Cup. Talk about how he ran a season for Roush in the Truck Series and ended up replacing Chad Little in 2000 towards the end of the season in the '97 John Deere car, which he only had a couple starts and he had a couple top 20s and that was it. 2001 was his first full-time season, and he lost the Rookie of the Year to Kevin Harvick, which, I mean, come on, you couldn't really be surprised by that.
Yeah.
But that was when his battle with Jimmy Spencer first began. He got spun by Jimmy Spencer at Phoenix that year, which led to him moving Jimmy Spencer out of the way the next year in Bristol for his first ever Cup Series win.
And some jackass on jackass violence right there.
And then that later led to Jimmy Spencer spinning him out in the Brickyard 400, where Kurt got really pissy about it and called him a decrepit old has-been and a never was. Which is somewhat fair. I mean, Jimmy is definitely one of the all-time great personalities in NASCAR, but as far as his driving career is concerned, he didn't really...
Great modified driver.
Yeah, for sure. It's somewhat fair for Kurt to have said that. In his first... that 2002 season, he won 3 of the last 5 races and ended up getting 3rd in the points. I guess in 2003, he ended up getting in a fight with Jimmy Spencer at Michigan, which led to Jimmy getting suspended. And then Kurt ended up winning the next race at Bristol, which Bristol's one of his best tracks, obviously.
This footage didn't make it in the video, but didn't Jimmy, go up to his car and just punch him when he was sitting there?
I can't remember. I'd have to go back and look.
There's some onboard footage of it.
Said Kurt got a chipped tooth and a bloody nose.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think Jimmy went up to his window and just clocked him when he was sitting in the garage area, strapped into his car.
Watching this video back, I kind of sided with Kurt on this rivalry.
Yeah.
No?
Yeah. I mean, it's as much as I enjoy Jimmy. Yeah, it's fair. Again, even though Kurt was definitely a little bitch about it at times, it was kind of fair to be on Kurt's side. I guess funny
I don't
though.
Disagree. Yeah.
At one point, I had a Jimmy Spencer shirt because he put out Jimmy Spencer Never Forgets shirts while this rivalry was going.
Was after 9/11?
You gotta send me that.
Well, I forget because there was an interview or something. I know that Jimmy said that he never forgets an incident with a driver, and that's why.
Sounds like he forgot something else if it came out in 2003.
2004 was his big season, though. He won the title. He ended up getting the points lead when Junior got that fine, a 25-point
Offended
fine.
some infants.
Yeah,
on the
it
radio.
definitely offended lots of infants when he said shit on national TV, which people nowadays you might hear fuck more than once on a broadcast and nobody gets in trouble, but that's a different story. 20 years ago it was different times, I suppose.
All right, so just to pop in here, that shirt was from the 90s, and ironically, when I Googled it, it's the old...
No, it wasn't, because it was when he was driving the 26 Kmart car. I'll have to pull it up and show you, but he 100% that was from that era.
Ironically, it's your listing that I pulled up on on the internet. When you type in Jimmy Spencer Never Forget, it's the Speedway Screens Etsy page that pops up. So
I might not even. Yeah, that might still be available. I don't know if I sold that.
it's sold. Sorry, folks.
Oh well, never mind. But there you go. That's
Forget it. Never forget it. But never forget that Brian has a bunch of other stuff for sale, which I'm sure he'll get into later on in the show.
Yeah, it's not plug time yet.
It's not.
So yeah, he got the points lead, and he was running up front all year anyways, and he got the points lead when Junior got that fine. And going into Homestead, it was a battle between like him and Jeff Gordon and Jimmy Johnson. He had a rough start to the race where he ended up getting a flat, but thankfully the tire fell off the car and caused a caution, which kept him from losing some laps. And
This was in the days before they put a lien on your house for doing that shit.
Yeah, different times.
I remember watching that race live, but watching this video back, I forgot how crazy that race was. There's so much shit that happened in that race.
Yeah, it definitely makes me want to go back and watch it, because this was in my time period when I was somewhat of a lapsed fan. I'm sure I was watching at the time, but I wasn't paying too close of attention. But yeah, a lot of shit happened in that race, and there was a green-white checkered finish where everybody was running up front, and even though both Gordon and Johnson were ahead of Kurt still ended up with the title. And again, that was the first year of the chase format, which again is much different than our current chase format. 2005, it starts off. So he leaves Roush in 2005. He announces early in the season that he's getting out of the car. He ends up getting a DUI, sort of, in Phoenix, which puts him out of the Roush car for the last two races of the season. Roush is incredibly snarky about this whole incident and just being tired of Kurt Busch and all his shit, and just wants him out of the car.
Today we resign as Kurt Busch's apologist. Is that what it was?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Very good. Classic.
And
put that on a T-shirt, Jimmy Spencer.
And one thing I forgot also was that his brother actually won the race that he was suspended from. So that was an interesting note that I forgot about.
Also, the video didn't mention this, but right before the 2006 season is also when Kurt Busch got his ears pinned back.
Oh, really? I don't remember that at all.
Oh, well, he had surgery to have his ears pinned back, because if you look at pre-2006 pictures, his ears were
big ass elephant ears.
massive,
Yeah,
huge.
More Disney. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, he got them surgically pinned.
Very vain. So 2006, he moves over to the Penske team in the 2 Miller Lite car because Rusty Wallace had just retired. He ended up winning his 5th race in the car at Bristol, but it was also the first time he didn't make the chase, and it was his worst season as of yet in the Cup Series. 2007, he almost won the 500, but he ends up wrecking Tony Stewart, who in turn collects him, and that ends the race for him. Mid-season, he ends up getting in some shit with his brother at the All-Star race where they wreck each other, and apparently they hadn't talked for about a year during this time period. It's kind of a Bodine brothers situation in the Busch household at that point in time. Let's see here. He gets into some more shit with Tony Stewart at Dover, and he ends up running into Tony's parked car on pit road, which is obviously a big no-no even then, and that got him suspended. He still made the chase. He turned the season around, but ended up finishing 7th that year. 2008, he pushed Ryan Newman to Newman's first 500 win, and he was Didn't really score any good finishes. No top fives until 17 races later when he won at a rain-shortened New Hampshire. And he finished 18th in the points that year. Not a good season at all. 2009 is when it starts to get fun, though, because he becomes a total asshole on the radio.
Yeah, this is probably when I really started hating Kurt Busch. Like,
yeah, there's just so
shit.
much footage of him just screaming at his crew on the radio. At one point, Roger himself gets on the radio and is like,
Roger Penske.
Yeah, when Roger Penske tells you to knock your shit off, like, you know you're in trouble. He ends up starting a bunch of shit with Jimmy Johnson, and this goes on for a few years.
I've forgotten about that, honestly.
Yeah,
I forgot about
hated
that,
Jimmy
too.
Johnson during this time too, but still didn't make me like Kurt Busch.
He ended up making it to the final four in the chase, finished fourth. He only had 2 wins in that season. 2010 was kind of a similar story. 2 wins and more attitude issues and performance issues. 2011, though, was the real bad year. That's when it all fell apart. So Penske swapped him and Brad Keselowski in the cars. So I don't know if that was a Penske decision, if that was a sponsor decision. I have to go back and look. But at this point, he's driving the 22 Shell car, and he wins Sonoma, but he's still pissed off about it. He continues fighting with Jimmy Johnson. He ends up, somebody's quoting him in a press conference after some race, and he goes over to the reporter and rips up the quote that was printed out as he's walking out, which is such a bitch move.
Cringy, yeah.
And then the final nail in the coffin was when he was going to be interviewed by Jerry Punch, and he's just going off on Jerry Punch. Why are we waiting to do this live? Why can't we just tape this? And Jerry Punch is like, fuck it, we're done. Walks off, and then
As he should.
yeah, not long after that, he was let go from Penske. And this is when Kurt was at his lowest point. 2012, he's picked up by Phoenix Racing, James Finch, who's a well-known party animal and just an all-around kind of a nutcase himself, but in a good way.
Rules, yeah.
And again, this is the lowest point in his career. And there's a video where he's screaming, "I hate my fucking job," as he's wrecking his car at some race.
Classic.
And then he goes and fucking threatens Bob Pockrass, of all people. Threatens to beat up Bob Pockrass, and he gets suspended by NASCAR.
Yeah, Bob asked
Given Bob was being awkward as fuck. Typical Bob, like stumbling out the question, but man,
I thought it was
rough.
a reasonable question, though. It's like, you being on probation, does it cause you to race everybody differently? And
It is reasonable, but when it's Kurt, I mean, what do you expect? That's just prodding him a little bit. I mean, again, it's not, but it is because it's Kurt.
Yeah, Kurt Busch. I don't know. I don't care. Get the soundbite. Who gives a shit?
So yeah, this got him suspended again, and not long after that, he moved over to the Furniture Row car. He'd already been signed, I think, to drive for them in 2013, but they made the move before the season ended. Let's see. So 2013 was a little bit better. He didn't win, but he improved the performance for the team quite a bit and ended up finishing 10th in the points. And this is the year, too, 2012 was the year he got a bunch of Ricky Bobby comparisons. He ended up driving the Panther car that just said "me" on the side of it.
Yeah.
2014, he ended up moving over to Stewart Haas, but in kind of a funny move. And again, we mentioned earlier that he had some incidents with Tony Stewart. Gene Haas himself was completely funding Kurt's team.
I was just going to say, if you remember correctly, Tony had nothing to do with it. And in fact, Tony was a little bit chippy about it in the media. And it's like, that's all Gene.
Yep. But in saying that, he won 5 races that year. He broke a 2-year winless streak. He made the chase. And he also tried the Indy Charlotte double. He ended up finishing 6th in the 500, which is, pretty admirable.
Incredibly impressive with Andretti. Yeah.
Yep. And then unfortunately it blew up in Charlotte, and he got 12th in the points. So that's when things kind of started to turn around a little bit.
That was when I kind of relaxed my... All it takes for me is if you just go run Indianapolis, and then... that's all it takes for me. It's cool.
However, the drama was not over for Kurt, as in 2015, he was suspended by NASCAR for 3 races after being charged with domestic abuse from his girlfriend at the time, who later on the charges were dropped. And if you remember, this woman ended up in prison for like espionage or something, some ridiculous reason. She was like a former military sniper.
She was a scammer as well.
Yeah.
She took a lot of money from the Folds of Honor folks, if I remember correctly. Maybe not Folds of, it was one of those veterans organizations that she was working with. Yeah, there's a lot.
That's a big no-no.
Google that shit. There's a lot.
There's more to the story than just the accusation. But after getting back in the car, he won within 3 races. Made the round 8 that year, but unfortunately, a rain out at Phoenix ended his chance of making it to the top 4. 2016 was pretty quiet. He just had 1 win, ended up 7th in the points. And again, his redemption arc is long started at this point. 2017, he won the Daytona 500 after first getting caught up in a big one that was caused by Jimmy Johnson, but thankfully his car was not tore up too bad, and he was able to continue and ended up winning the race.
Hated that one.
Yeah. That car is still sitting at SHR.
It is, yeah. It is cool to go take a look at. It's still got the grass stuck to it and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. But really, that was his only positive story for 2017. Didn't really have a great season after that, and ended up 14 in the points. 2018, he was more consistent, back up to the round 8. 2019, he moved to Chip Ganassi Racing, and people thought this was going to be his last full-time season in Cup, but he ended up re-signing towards the end of the year and extended till 2021. There was a nice little sequence there where he finished 2nd to Kyle at Bristol, and then the next week at Kentucky, he and Kyle had a great battle to the finish where he ended up winning. And I guess this was the 3rd time that the Busch brothers had like a 1-2 finish, but the first time Kurt had actually gotten the win. So that was cool.
That race was when I started turning around on Kurt.
Yeah, I think so too.
Becoming a fan.
Yeah. 2020, he made the playoffs without a win until he won at Vegas while he was in the playoffs and ended up 10th. 2021, that was the year that Justin Marks ended up buying out Chip Ganassi and taking over the team, but that left him out of a ride. However, 12 days after that news broke, he won in Atlanta, and it was later announced that year that he was going to be driving for 2311 as one of the first 2. He was the first team driver announced, and later on, the whole Reddick thing happened. 2022 was inconsistent, but he did win at Kansas for his final Cup Series win. And then a few weeks later at Pocono, that's when he had his wreck, was concussed, and to this day has not been cleared to race, and he had to officially retire in 2023.
Yeah, it was damn
so really, I guess the wrap up of this video and what we can all take from it is, he was a great driver, but really just a complete hothead who his bad attitude almost ended his career. But through all the trials and tribulations, he got help. Unfortunately, 2024, he got another DUI, which we haven't really heard much from him since, but he seemed to be doing well prior to that. So he became a fan favorite, and everybody was pretty bummed to see the way his career ended. I mean, nobody wants to see a driver go out on an injury like that.
No,
my dog's about to bark, so I'm going to mute. Oh, there he goes. But yeah, I enjoyed this video. Again, there was a lot of stuff that I didn't remember because, again, there was a bunch of those years where I wasn't totally paying attention like I am now. But
yeah, same.
What are your guys' thoughts?
I mean, you forget how long of a career he had, too. Because, again, I think a lot of people kind of, in the latter half of his career, had kind of forgotten about the first half. Because there was that sort of, like, wilderness period in the center where he's, just getting shit housed and wrecking James Finch's cars. I mean, my first experience with Kurt Busch in person, because again, I didn't get to go to any Cup races until I was much older, was him driving the 78 at Loudon, and I remember him running pretty close to the front, top 10 all day, and I remember like, Jesus, that's incredible that he's able to do that and actually see it in person. I was like, man, Kurt Busch is actually really good, even though I don't fucking like this guy at all. I got to hand it to him. If he can put the 78 in a position like that, then he's definitely got something going for him, at least talent-wise. And then, of course, he definitely went on to prove that he never really lost it. And Yeah, never was a Kurt Busch fan, but definitely was very sad to see his career end the way it did. Pretty arguably the first real victim of the the next gen car.
Yeah.
And definitely one of the big harbingers of change when it comes to how stiff the rear ends are in those cars. Which we haven't really seen a whole lot of that since. We've seen some pretty ugly hits, and Ryan Blaney keeps.
This weekend.
Yeah.
Well, Ryan Blaney keeps wrecking. That's his problem.
We'll see who he pushes to the Final Four this weekend and go off of that.
Exactly. But yeah, this video did remind me of how much I really don't like Kurt Busch. I think I texted you guys and I was like, man, I can't do this. But yeah, definitely NASCAR would not be the same without him. And like I said, you kind of forget how long of a career he had, and it was kind of cool to see it all laid out. Because oftentimes it's focused on one half or the other, or just him being an asshole, and you forget the full body of work, and it was nice to see that. Only complaint is that this guy kept calling the quarter panel the corner panel in this video.
Well, it's kind of in the corner of.
Yeah, it is what it is. What about you, True Love?
I really enjoyed this video. I thought the guy did a great job of kind of recapping his career. I knew you had texted us how much it reminded you hate Kurt Busch, and I hadn't watched the video yet. But when I watched it, I started off. I was like, oh, why did I hate Kurt so much? Because they were talking about the Jimmy Spencer stuff. I was like, I'm kind of on Kurt's side, and then it reminded me of all the radio stuff, and I was like, yeah, that's why I fucking hated him. But it's funny because I met Jimmy Spencer in like 2018, and I was like, oh man, I got to meet the driver that punched Kurt Busch in the face. I was like, that's great, because I still hated Kurt at the time. And then 2022, I got to meet Kurt at Martinsville when he had his concussion, and he was just at the racetrack
hanging out
basically as a fan, and it was like a total different experience because I was like emotional seeing him there at the track, and he's supposed to be in the car and he's not, and then I don't know.
You don't want to see that.
It's tough. Yeah, it's tough seeing someone with such a long career go out like that. Because you always want to go out on your own terms.
And I think he had a few more years left in him. I don't think that Tyler Reddick would have made the jump over if it wasn't for Kurt's injury. I mean, there's no question that wouldn't have happened.
Oh yeah, I messed that up. But Bubba was in the well, whatever. You know the story. 2311.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was the first video. And the second video was a lot shorter.
Thank God.
Not a whole lot to it. But this second video was
fucking guy.
it was a very short video documenting Kyle Busch's rookie cards by a guy named the Big Bear. This is the Big Bear coming back at you again. Again, you don't have to watch the full video. Just listen to the first minute and just hear this guy's voice, which is why I picked it.
Yeah.
Nothing could have prepared me for the voice that came through. That is not what I was expecting when I put this video on. I was expecting another young, probably teenager, probably on the spectrum, as Brian likes to pick them. And that is not what I was greeted with.
No, definitely
Just the older
not.
version for sure.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
Hopefully they pick this guy up to replace Doug Rice at PRM. That'd be great.
He did have a great accent.
He did. Yeah.
So this guy's channel or video series is called the NASCAR Trading Cards Learning Tech Center, where the learning never stops. He even got his own catchphrase and everything.
Stops.
Oh, he needs t-shirts. I'd wear that t-shirt.
He only talks about like 3 Kyle Busch cards. He says there's not a lot of them, but they're good to have. The first one that he talks...
Better to have them and not need them than need them and not have them, you know?
I guess. Everybody needs cards. So the first one he talks about is a brand called Choice, the 2002 Rising Stars late model series card, where he's really into the colors of the cards. He goes, just look at the color. Then he brings up a couple 2004 cards, one from Press Pass. Every color of the rainbow was on that card. And then the High Gear Wheels Busch Grand National card. Says he's a young guy, energetic, ready to go. That's what's represented on the card there. Mm-hmm. He also talks about how the autographed 2002 card is like the ultimate rookie card. He said you used to be able to get it cheap. I know for a fact that COVID blew up card prices throughout the trading card spectrum, which is probably why, as in 2022, he mentions the card went from like $5 to like $20 or $30.
That's a funny way to put it, the trading card spectrum.
Well, yeah.
Look at those colors.
He states that the autographed card back then was worth about $200. I did look it up, and you can get one now for about $130. So even though he says these cards are going to continue to gain in value, it doesn't seem like that. Although I feel like
buyer's market.
Yeah, I mean, I think the card market, even like the T-shirt market, is kind of slowly started to drop back down after the COVID bubble blew it up. But very brief video. I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I did. Because, yeah, I mean, I didn't need a half hour of that guy talking. 5 minutes was enough.
5 minutes is enough.
Just him clicking through his PowerPoint.
Yep.
It is a nice PowerPoint. With, it's not a Comic Sans
I really
font, but it's something similar. It's in the Sans family.
I like the way he said YouTube. It was YouTube, the CH.
YouTube.
This video had 149 views. I'd love to meet those other 146 people.
That's about what our episodes would have on YouTube. So
I like to find the ones nobody's watched. Those are the best ones. However, this week's video of the week has quite a bit more views, and it has something to do with my weekend. So I found another fan cam video, this one from 2001, and it documents the 2001 West Virginia Motor Speedway Freedom 100 and the Dirt Track World Championship at Pennsboro.
hell
So
yeah, that's what's up. Now
40-minute video, and again, it's all fan footage. I guess a couple guys. There's some road trip stuff in there too. So this should be a fun one. So that's already on the playlist now, and we'll be talking about it next week as I wrap up my trip to Pennsboro. So
very cool.
yeah. As mentioned, NASCAR is at Homestead this weekend. All 3 series are going to be running. I feel like I probably won't see much of Saturday's race since I'll be driving to West Virginia, but I'll probably have it on in the car or at the track, listening in my earbuds or something. So you guys will have to do most of the reporting on that one. But you guys doing any racing stuff this weekend or no?
No, it's just the finals for me. I thought I was going to be able to go to the Haunted 100 at Seekonk coming up, but I think I have some music-related stuff to do. So my last racetrack visit of the year, as far as I know anyway, unless some miracle happens that I can go to Florence or the Dome in St. Louis, that's it. So nothing for me. I'll be watching from the couch as well. How about you, True Love?
No actual racing, but I'm going to try to go to the Moonshine Festival in Dawsonville this weekend.
Nice.
It's my favorite little yearly festival where they have a parade of all the old race cars and moonshine runners and big car show. It's
Oh yeah,
usually pretty cool.
Yeah, I've seen pics from that before.
Yeah,
so
that's
it
where I
seems like a
met
good time.
Jimmy Spencer at before, and
Hell yeah.
Donnie Allison, and stuff like
That'll
that.
be good.
So.
So I did speak earlier in the show. The NASCAR Wheel of Modified Tour race at Martinsville is this weekend on Saturday. It's not part of the
okay.
Cup show. So I think that's where my confusion's coming from a little bit.
Right, that makes sense.
There you go.
So yeah, make sure you watch that. There's not a ton of short track racing going on this weekend, but that's definitely happening on Saturday evening. So I would recommend tuning in if you got that going. I think it comes on after the Xfinity race, or is that a night race too? I can't remember.
I don't know. It's a doubleheader on Saturday.
Oh yeah, no, it's I checked. The trucks are at 12 and Xfinity is at 4. So yeah, it won't be a night race.
There you go, little transition race. But yeah, I'll be parked on the couch, as will a lot of you, I think. So look forward to watching. Homestead's definitely one of my favorite tracks that the Cup Series and NASCAR in general goes to. So I'm very much looking forward to this weekend. I just wish they do the fucking championship there, but
Yeah.
everyone agrees with that, I think.
Well, yeah, I think there has to be some sort of change for 2026. I mean, I don't see how they can still do Phoenix. It just doesn't make sense. So
God, I hope so.
maybe
Yeah.
2026.
Maybe.
Seeing those clips of the 2004 race there for the championship really made me.
Oh
actually
yeah,
go
for
back,
sure.
so.
They're always bangers. Every single one of them is a banger.
Cool. Well, with that, as always, you can follow us on Instagram at meetmeatapplebees and meetmeatapplebees on Twitter. I am Speedway Screens on all the things. Speedwaytsj.etsy.com is the shop. And I spoke a little too soon on the promo code last week. Not that I had anybody hit me up saying it didn't work. But Applebee's actually is taken. Surprise, surprise. I had not yet promoted. That just kind of popped into my head last week as we were recording. So I changed it. The actual code now is MMA Applebee's. So use that at checkout for 15% off.
Fight at Applebee's.
MMA fighting.
Hell yeah.
Nice.
All right, well, now you're up, True Love.
Yeah.
Yeah, I forget that we do this part every week until it gets here, and I'm like, oh, fuck.
I remember. I look forward to it. So it's appointment viewing.
It's still the same. Go to Rob. Snake Mountain. Google it.
You got half of it out. Thank you very much. RobMotes_unofficial on Instagram. My band's called These Wild Plains. Again, thank you to anyone who came out on Friday night for our show in Cambridge. It was awesome. We haven't done a show in Boston in 2 or 3 years. I think it was the Reckless run we did. That was the last time we was there. And we hadn't played the venue we were at in 5 years, so it was really nice to see a bunch of familiar faces, and it felt good to have all those folks come out and say what's up. So thank you for being there. Definitely had a lot of people ask me about racing and when I was going to the track next. So none of them were listening to this, but yeah, it was definitely cool to have that interest. And all those years of me posting drunk videos of me on Instagram on the weekends have finally yielded some success. So
I do miss those videos from your pre-podcast days of
maybe I'll bring them
Sundays
back.
with Uncle Rob.
Yeah, I got the whole setup down here. Maybe I'll start bringing
It was
it
a
back.
great little theme song video too that you had.
Still got it.
Well,
Still got it. So maybe I'll bring it back. But yeah, again, thank you for coming out. No more shows for a little while. We're working on a record. We're working on a record with Charlie Marie as well. That's gonna be fucking killer. But we will have shows early next year. But again, thank you for the support. Really appreciate it. And we'll see you again down the road soon.
Cool. Well, it looks like the check is here. So as always, thanks for joining us at Applebee's, and we'll talk to y'all next week.